Are you wondering why no amount of rest can help your chronic pain and fatigue? Are you wondering why it feels like you just got done working out all of the time? If so, you're in the right place because in this video, I am going to break down mitochondrial dysfunction and why it is a hallmark of all chronic pain conditions. And by the end, you'll have a better understanding of how to treat it yourself. Are you wondering why all the rest in the world isn't helping your chronic pain and fatigue? Well, it's because you have a mitochondrial issue. So let's break it down. Remember your mitochondria from school? Well, if you're on my generation, you're probably leaping up with joy right now saying, yes, the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Well, apparently that's all we learned in science class and soon forgot about it and never truly got to appreciate how important of an organelle this is, especially when it comes to things like chronic pain and fatigue. So inside of us are trillions of cells, and in most of those cells are mitochondria, tiny little organelles that produce energy, or ATP. Now, we're all walking around with enough ATP to get through the day to survive. But if you're suffering from chronic pain and fatigue, you have mitochondrial dysfunction. This is a hallmark of chronic pain. And in my clinical experience, I have not seen a chronic pain sufferer who does not have some degree of mitochondrial dysfunction. So you're not creating enough ATP to heal damaged tissues or to even do just the basic necessities like bathe yourself or cook a meal. So if it feels like you rest for a day, you rest for a week plus, and you're still not gaining any energy, it's because of your mitochondria, and all the rest in the world is not going to fix mitochondrial dysfunction. There are very specific things you need to do to fix this. So in the coming up videos, I'm going to break down the physiology of mitochondrial dysfunction down to a level that you'll all understand, and then give you some treatments to get started, things that are free and easy to see to what degree are your mitochondria affecting your chronic pain. Chronic pain and fatigue are a mitochondrial issue, and it comes down to, first and foremost, how your mitochondria are using fuel to make energy. The preferred route is to use fat and oxygen. That creates 9 ATP per gram of fat. But your mitochondria can also use glucose from sugar or carbohydrates. In this case, doesn't need oxygen to create ATP. But as you can see, fat produces more than twice the amount of energy as glucose. So for some, mitochondrial dysfunction is when your mitochondria stop using fat and oxygen as its primary fuel source and reverts to using glucose without oxygen. The biggest problem with this route is not just the lack of ATP it's creating, it's that it also creates a lot of lactic acid. Lactic acid is what gives your muscles that burning sensation after you've just got done working out. And this is common in chronic pain, especially fibromyalgia, where it feels like you just got done working out all the time. And this is why it's mitochondrial dysfunction. So the reason why rest doesn't always fix chronic pain and fatigue, and why too much rest can actually worsen your symptoms, comes down to this lactic acid production. When you're resting, you're primarily using glucose as your main fuel source. And even though you're still breathing, you're not getting in the same concentration of oxygen as you would be if you were moving or especially if you were exercising. So you produce a lot more lactic acid, which creates this negative feedback loop that worsens the dysfunction, but also makes you just feel worse overall. Now, how do we get more energy with chronic pain and fatigue? Well, the answer is fixing your mitochondria, which is a complicated subject, but luckily there are some easy and some free things that you can do to get started. The first is prioritizing dietary fat over sugar and carbohydrates. Remember, this is your mitochondria's preferred fuel source. It's gonna spit out more energy and ATP when you do this, and it's gonna spit out less lactic acid, making your muscles feel achy and burning all the time. Cold exposure. And don't turn me off yet. In your body, it's adipose tissue. You probably associate that as fat tissue. There are two types, white and brown. White is what we associate with as body fat. Brown is something that you're born with and start to lose over time. It keeps you warm as you're an infant, and it's very dense in mitochondria. And we can start to grow that back even as an adult with regular cold exposure. But even the thought of this is probably sending you into a flare right now. And if that's the case, this is a blood flow issue now. So this is why there's no perfect treatments in chronic pain. We first have to fix the blood flow issue, then you can more tolerate cold exposure to build up your mitochondria. Breathing exercises. If you are bed or housebound and you're not getting adequate movements, let alone exercise, you're not getting enough oxygen to fuel your mitochondria. So some simple breathing exercises, things you can find on YouTube, will greatly increase the amount of oxygen saturation to all of your cells and mitochondria. Then some simple supplements to help with mitochondrial dysfunction. The first being CoQ10. You've probably heard of it. You've probably heard of it as being for heart health. And the reason for that is your heart is the most mitochondrial dense organ in your body, but CoQ10 works everywhere. The rate at which your mitochondria spit out ATP is directly correlated to the amount of CoQ10 you have. So supplementing can help produce more ATP. Then there's creatine, very popular supplement right now. And the main reason is when you use up your ATP, it splits it into an AMP molecule and an ADP molecule. What creatine does is it puts these two back together to create ATP. So creatine is helping you to recycle your ATP faster. Now you have more energy to heal damaged tissues and to hopefully get out of the house and not feel fatigued all the time. But keep in mind, these are just a couple of supplements. They are not a fix. They are just a part of the overall picture. So there you have it. Chronic pain and especially fatigue is not an issue of willpower. They are at their core mitochondrial issues. And unless you are treating your mitochondrial dysfunction, no amount of rest is going to help these two things. So hopefully now you have some better clarity and guidance on where your treatment plan needs to begin.